Welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Today, we're going to be talking about mental health resources. I have Ramon Nickelberry on the show, and he's going to talk about the resources that he knows for mental health clients. Get you something to drink, get you a snack, and come on back. All right, brother, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. No complaints, man. You know, it's one day before Friday, and I'm excited for the weekend to get started. Sure.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So how you been?
All right. What you been up to, man?
Man, doing music.
Doing
I've been doing a
music.
lot of music, trying to keep my head above water, man. Staying positive, doing music, staying out of trouble, visiting with family and stuff like that.
That's good. That's good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Staying focused.
You have to, brother. Before we get into it, why don't you introduce yourself and just kind of tell a little bit about yourself and your background?
Of course. I'm Ramon Nickelberry. I'm 47. Well, about to be 47. I have a birthday coming up in a couple of weeks. From Vallejo, California, born and raised. And I'm a mental health patient.
Okay. So when is your birthday?
My birthday's on the 10th.
October 10th.
Yeah, it's crazy because out here, Sacramento, they recognize it as the 17th. Like all my paperwork out here is the 17th, and in the Bay Area, it's the 10th.
Really?
Yeah.
So you was born on the 10th or the 17th?
The 10th.
But
Sacramento recognizes it as the 17th.
How and why?
I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I've never heard of that. I never heard of that.
So
when we got started, you said that you've been making music and stuff like that. So what kind of music that have you been making?
I've been making a lot of hip hop, R&B, little jazz. I kind of like mix hip hop and jazz together and mash it. And it sounds pretty cool. I like what I'm doing right now. I recorded a song a couple of weeks ago. It came out pretty cool. So I'm liking the way that the project is coming and the direction that it's going. So I'm happy right now with the project.
All right. So so you can't just say that and not give me nothing. Like what's the name of the song? You know.
It's called Thankful to the Grave.
Thankful to the Grave.
Yeah.
So do any of your music have like messages in it regarding mental health or positive messages or what? Or you just kind of stick to a certain type of message in your music?
No, and that's funny that you asked. That's a good question. Mental health is actually the theme and the motivation for this album. Like I said, I think I told you last interview, I'm probably gonna name it musical therapy, my coping skills.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about my experiences struggling with mental health, my suicidal ideations, resources, and just how I overcame a lot of the demons and a lot of the obstacles as far as mental health was holding me back, and stabilizing my mental health. And it's really helpful. It's really helpful.
That's awesome, man. I want to hear a little bit. Are you nervous to say a few verses?
Nah, it's just because legal reasons.
Okay.
It's not finished yet. So
okay. So what about so do you have music that you have already put out that you can probably share that's
yes.
a few verses?
Yeah. You could go to you could Google me, or you can go to SoundCloud, John Doe SoundCloud .com. You can go to Reverb Nation, John Doe DOUGH, or you can go to tentcityrecordings.com. We got the website up there and you can check it out. Follow me.
All right. Well, I still want you to say a few verses. You don't have to share a few verses of your new stuff. Are you nervous to do that? But your
Nah,
old
no,
stuff
I'm
you
just
got
trying to
out.
think. Like, I'm trying to think. It's I don't got nothing right now. Like, that's clean.
Okay. Okay. Now that makes
I don't
sense.
want to cuss right now.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about well, we could just I actually just like where is your music taking you to in terms of breaking down like mental health stigma?
Um, it's actually teaching me a lot about myself and
Hmm.
a lot about how people are when they hear my music. Because it's funny, they'll hear my music and they'll hear the message, but when I'm sitting down talking with them, it's like it's going in one ear and out the other. Like they can't grasp what I'm trying to actually say, but in my music, it's like they kind of get it more. And it's mainly like my family, the older generation of my family. You know what I'm saying? When they hear the music, they kind of get the message, and it's weird like that. But it takes me to a place of peace,
Yeah,
peace, comfort, and stability mentally.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
if I didn't have music, man, oh man, I don't know where I would be.
have music always been a passion of yours?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You know,
Music,
go ahead.
music has always been a voice for me.
Okay.
And so at a lot of times growing up, I felt like I didn't have nobody to, listening to me. Nobody understood me. Nobody heard me. I would just go off and do my own thing. So with music and the way that people, took my music and gravitated towards my music, yeah, I just wanted to speak more. I just wanted to be more of a voice and get the things that was holding me down and, depressing me. I wanted to get it out and I was able to express it and people was actually able to feel it. So it's very, very, very therapeutic for me.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. You talked about music helping you with your mental health. When did you first realize? I know we talked about this probably on the previous show, but this is going to be for new viewers that watch this particular program.
Okay.
Um, when did you first realize that you needed help mentally, or there was something that was off about your mental health, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I'm gonna say I was about around 35, between 35, 37, I want to say.
Yeah.
Um, I woke up one day and I was just feeling different. I've always been a social person. I've always been an upbeat person, life of the party. And I was just waking up very depressed, but I didn't know why,
Yeah.
you know, and there was a lot of things bothering me, holding me down that I didn't know was still holding me down as a child. So, I went and talked to somebody. I talked to family first. And then I took a whole bunch of pills. I had a suicide attempt because I just felt like it wasn't worth living. Nobody understood me. I didn't know why I was feeling this way, but
Yeah.
I was able to get help. And at that time I was married, so my wife, she stood by my side. She was there every step of the way. I had a couple friends that was there with me, so I had some support. So that really really helped. But I was about 30, between 35 and 37. I just woke up feeling really different, man, really sad, and I didn't know why. So I know that that wasn't normal. So I had to get some help.
So prior to that day, were you experiencing anything off balance mentally that you could think of?
No, no, I just the way I felt, I always felt like heavy, and I always felt like just down all the time. Consistently every morning. Like no matter, I could have a great night the night before, and I would wake up and just like just did not want to even get out of bed, and I
Yeah.
knew that was a problem for me. So I'm glad I was able to get some help.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a friend, I think I shared this before, and it's funny he calling me too, but I have a friend who used to always say to me, "Oh, I'm battling a down feeling." And when he would say that to me, I kind of chalked it up like, "Oh, come on, get yourself together," whatever I was telling him. But I didn't know at the time that he was telling me he's depressed. Like this was like
Yeah,
all the time. And then finally one day, some things happened, and I realized that. And I mean, when I tell you all the time, I mean, years have went past,
yeah,
years went by before I'm recognizing that this boy is dealing with depression. And that's because he formed it in another type of way. Instead of saying depression, he formed it in the words of I'm a battling it down feeling. And then when I really realized that he was dealing with, you know, severe depression, Ramon, I felt so bad. I felt so bad that I didn't recognize that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And then that's when I feel I started to be a better support to him, because now I'm realizing what he's going through. And you know, I started to get in the mental health field and started
Yeah.
gaining knowledge, experience, and tools. So I was able to try to give him some tools to help him to deal
Yeah.
with depression. But I would always ask him, like, because I mean, literally, we would be like hanging out. I mean, this is all the time, having a good time, and
Yeah.
and he would just boom, just go into this depressing state. And I'd be like, "What's wrong with you?" And he'd be like, "I'm battling down feeling." I'm looking at him, you know, it was just, you know, I even to this day I think about that sometimes. I'm like, man, like, how did you miss that?
That's real, and that's crazy because like my family do the same thing, and
Yeah,
I'm starting to notice I'm not getting invited to some events, you know, because my morale, I just bring the morale down in the room sometimes, you know, battling with my depression and everything. But I wanted to ask you, when your friend was going through that, did you recognize it through your own life experiences, or did you were just learning as he was, you know, you was just becoming repetitive as he was depressed?
I think I was learning more with him because it was repetitive, because he was depressed. I mean, of course, throughout my life, I mean, you know, there are things that happen that, you know, caused me to be depressed, but it wasn't on a level that he was on,
Yeah.
because it was, I'm telling you, like, we could like just go out and just be having a good time and get in the car, and he'll just literally walk to the car, he'll just shut down. And I'd be like, and you know, like you said, the mood changes, the energy changes.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "What's wrong with you, man?" And he'd be like, "I'm just battling down feeling." And I'd be like, "Why?" Like, I really didn't understand it to that degree in the beginning. But as I started to learn more and learn more about mental health, learn more about depression, then I realized, like, oh, like he was battling depression all those years, and he
Yeah.
was trying to tell me, I feel in so many words, he was reaching out for help, but you know, I didn't know, I was uneducated. I just didn't know how to help him, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when things came out on the surface and I realized what it was, then I was able to really like help him, you know, to get through that time, excuse me, at that time, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was, you know, that was, you know, that was, yeah. So so you went through the process, you got you know, depressed and things like that.
Yeah.
So what happened after that point when you realized, like, okay, you know, I need some help or things are going on? What steps did you take after that?
I got some therapy. They connected me with some resources, um, with TLCS.
Hmm.
Um, I forgot their Hope or something like that right now.
Hope Cooperative,
By
yeah.
American by American River and stuff. I got connected with Telecare,
Oh, okay.
and that's when everything changed. Once I got connected with Telecare, they introduced me to NAMI and Mental Health Matters. They was telling me about it and everything, and I just started educating myself, and looking at getting different resources on my own because things that they were giving me, I basically had on my own anyway. I was getting those resources from Telecare and everything. So eh, I'm finding for as resources, it's really not too many resources that's
Hmm.
actually impactful in the mental health community. It's like a band-aid. You can go there for a couple hours. They got the what is it on Florin? They got the little center. You can go there and stuff. Um, but it's for a couple hours. You can't, it's not really doing anything for anybody. You know what I mean? And we need to find a way that we can actually, house some of these people, because a lot of people with mental health, are homeless. And then that
Hmm.
causes, substance abuse and everything like that. And so it's just a revolving door, and it sucks because we need help. A lot of people out there need help. They're not on meds, so it's tough, man. I want to raise a lot of awareness and try to get more resources for the mental health community because I see it's not much help out here for us.
So what type of help, in addition to what's being given, what type of help or what more help do you feel is needed along with the resources that's being provided or services being provided?
Um, support, support
Okay.
programs, support programs, activities.
Hmm.
Activities where people can interact with each other and see that it's not just them beside outside of the hospital, in
Right.
a more social setting, in a more uplifting setting, and not just the hospital and things like that. They need things to do, something to keep them occupied, and to remind, because a lot of stuff is repetitive. You know what I mean? If it could trigger something, a good memory from childhood or something like that, and those little hints of feeling good and feeling normal can go a long way, you
Right.
know.
Right. I met somebody a while back and he pretty much was saying the same thing to me as well. I think that because a lot of these places, they're contracted and they only are contracted to provide a certain type of mental health services, and others are contracted to provide other type of mental health services. But what I'm hearing from you is that we need to be able to, as a community, hear the mental health community voice and pretty much give you guys what you need.
Exactly. It needs to be an outreach or something. Just like a mental health fair or something. People come out here and get educated. They can come out here and bring their loved ones, and they can both learn together and
Yeah,
ask questions, and they can get educated, get some some information that they can take home and go home as a family and read
yeah,
together and better understand it. So that stigma that they have, can possibly go away. That may be weighing down or keeping your loved one depressed, because it was for me for a long time. My parents, my family thought I was, really crazy out there, and thought, I knew what I was talking about. A lot of times I was aware, but it was, the mental health side. They was like, "You crazy? Get up out of here." They didn't want to hear anything else, and I just shoot me straight to the hospital instead of actually listening and trying to understand what was going on. As I'm learning myself. You know.
yeah. And that's very common. So let me ask you a question. I'm going to jump back to that comment. Are you the only person in your family that you know of that was challenged mentally, with like meaning with depression and things like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
um, that's
So
interesting.
it's all new to my family.
Okay,
Yeah.
and when things
Support
was
is
going
support is
on,
the key. Support is
huh?
support is everything, man.
Right. No, no, I agree. And I asked you a question because I'm trying to, for people who really have no education and no knowledge, especially being in the African American community,
Yeah.
a lot of us, growing up, didn't really have the knowledge, the experience, or the resources to be able to understand what was actually going on or what is actually going on with our loved ones. I can speak for my family. I know we've got people in there that have mental health challenges. And like you said, some of the common language is, oh, they're crazy. Oh, he know what he's doing or she know what she's doing. And then when you try to say, well, they need to go and see a doctor or therapist, folks would shoot that down.
Yeah.
Like, no, they don't need that. They know what they're doing. And I realized this person really need some services or some resource to help them go through whatever it is that they're going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's important.
The best advice I could give, or my opinion, start with your mental health provider. A
Yeah.
lot of our mental health provider have mental health resources, but we don't know about them because
Uh-huh.
we don't ask, or we're not familiar, or it's not that common. But a lot of our, free Medi-Cal and Medicare,
Yeah.
have a lot of resources for mental health, as far as healthcare, and once you start there, they'll start, filtering out and giving you some information, and you'll be able to find out about new programs and new resources. But at this time, it's very little. It's very few.
Yeah. What do you think mental health what do you think uh mental health services are? What are mental health services?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm gonna say anything that's impactful, that's
Mhm,
actually making a difference in one's life.
mhm.
Not just I don't want somebody to give me a resource and I go here and I just got the same thing where I just got from over here. You know what I
Right,
mean? I'm trying to move forward. Don't give me the same stuff that I can get from over here. I want from after I get this, then what's the next step? Where else do I
right,
go? Like levels, you know what I mean? Everybody's giving out the same information,
right.
and what happens is everybody's going there and it's not enough space, it's not enough resources, it's just not enough.
Yeah.
But
I'm a
yeah, I would say impacting one's life.
right, right. I'm gonna read this definition that I wrote down, and it's kind of goes along with what you're talking about. It says mental health services also include uh also reduce, I'm sorry, let me start back. Mental health services also reduce the risk of chronic disease related to stress, anxiety, and substance abuse. Most importantly, mental health services save lives while improving the outlook for people who may feel hopeless and lost. And that's kind of like what you just talked about. And I'm gonna flip the script a little bit. I know an individual who I met not too long ago. And this individual, hourly, if you look at him hourly, you would think that he got it all together. And, I met him through a friend of a friend, but I realized just my interaction with him on numerous occasions, I knew that he dealt with depression, anxiety, like there was things, and I realized that, and so I would talk to other friend about it. And my other friend was like, "Oh no, he's cool, he's cool." And he ended up being in a really bad relationship with this girl, and the girl cheated on him. And from there, he spiraled out of control by you know, doing self-medicating. He would just start self-medicating because
Um,
he was depressed,
yeah,
and he felt hopeless and all of it because he had put so much emphasis into this relationship with this girl. And so he started, drinking, partying, and doing all that. And so maybe like a week or two ago, he well, it's probably long enough. But anyway, he got into a bad car accident and got a DUI because of the things that he was doing.
yeah.
And so after that, he slowly but surely, started back talking to the girl. Now, where I came in at, I was telling him, I was trying to reach out to him and reach him and tell him like, hey man, like, you really may want to go and get some therapy and just kind of, and he shot that down. He's because in his mind, ain't nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
Like I know what I'm doing. And now he's back with the girl, and now she's kind of like the bandage to the problem, you know,
Yeah.
because his friend was telling me like, oh, it's gonna end bad, which I do based off the facts. But he kind of used her as a bandage to cover the depression to so
Yeah.
that he won't feel hopeless and all that stuff. And when the things spiral out of control again with them, then I was telling my friend, I said, then I'm gonna go back to him and say, hey man, you need to go and see somebody about this so that you can get some help. But a lot of people don't understand it. They don't want the resources, they don't want the advice or education because they're so used to doing it on their own, and they don't want the support.
Also the stigma too. Like
Yeah,
we don't just like in elementary school, the kid in special ed,
yeah,
the kid used to get teased. It's kind of like that right now, as an adult. I feel like, we don't want to say we have, we're kind of ashamed to have mental illness, and
right,
we don't even stop to think about how many people really have mental illness. Dang
Right.
near everybody in America has some type of mental illness. We are not perfect, but it's the acceptance,
Right.
and it was hard for me too. It was hard
Yeah.
for me too to accept it, but I just had to find a way to flip it. I said, okay, I got mental illness. I'm gonna be the best rapper with mental illness. I'm
Right.
try to use that, and push for something, something big because I know it's bigger than me.
Oh
And
yeah.
if I can inspire the next person to do so, empower the next person, then that's what it's about. Just empowering and trying to keep each other healthy and supporting each other in the mental health community because we all we got.
Right. No, exactly. And that remind me of Kanye West, and how everybody contribute his behavior to mental illness. I know he shared a little bit and things like that, but you can clearly see some of his behavior if you really like look at some of the things he's done and things like that. People contributed to mental illness, and I know I've read articles and watched podcasts around Kanye West, and some of the things that was said was he don't have the right support around him to
Yeah,
keep him accountable to his mental health, you know. And with money like that, power like that, living in society, he probably got like a lot of yes people. People probably really know this man need help or
yeah,
need some type of therapy, but telling him what he want to hear, and
yeah,
that's not okay.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
definitely not okay. I
Yeah,
know,
last time we was talking, I was like, we had a lot of common far as that aspect, music and mental health, and
right.
it's I didn't know all of these people, in the entertainment industry have mental illness. So many
Oh
people
yeah.
did not know.
Yes.
Like you think, like you say, you think everything's cool, 1 hour, and then the next hour they get off stage or whatever and be struggling with mental health, just like me.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
Yeah.
it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's the pressure. It's the pressure, the surrounding. A lot of things people probably have not dealt with growing up, and so the money, the fame, and the power, it's a facade. It covers that up until situation happen, and then it expose that
Yeah.
they really, need help, and it's okay. It's definitely okay. I think, huh?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think the worst type of people to be around somebody that need help are the people that don't offer the help and support, and then would allow a person to go down a dark path because
Mhm.
they just feel the need to not try. And I'm talking about for people who really have some form of understanding that this person really needs some help, you
Yeah.
know, because it can be like you can have like need some help, emergency help, or you can need non-emergency help, because that's different. So
Mm.
do you know the difference between emergency help for mental health illness or non-emergency help for mental health illness?
Definitely, definitely. That's what determines when I need to go to the hospital or not. And
Hmm.
that's one thing that I'm glad that I have. I can recognize it now. I can feel when I better get to the hospital because in an hour it's gonna be to where I can't control it.
Yeah.
So knowing that now, I stay out of the hospital more now.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so, I'm proud of myself. So just learning how to control my mental illness and just little things, that powers me, over my depression. I still be depressed every day. I still be in physical pain, but I can control it. That's all I wanted to do, be able to stabilize it more now. So um, I'm using my coping skills. I'm using the tools that I got from the doctors and the professionals and everything. I'm still going to my therapy and everything. And man, I'm good right now. I'm good right now. I'm proud of myself right now, man.
I
Um,
I love just everything you just said. I love the fact that you um displaying self-love, that you love yourself. You acknowledge when you need help. You acknowledge when you feel like things are going to spiral out of control. You acknowledge that you know how to get the help when you need the help, and you know where to go to get it. And
yeah,
that's extremely important. Extremely important. You know,
yeah,
I I want to, how can I explain it? So I know an individual who was at work, and this individual work around a lot of Caucasians. And so um, he ended up, something happened where, he was blamed for something. And so he was talking to, his supervisor, and this individual had a breakdown.
Mhm.
And so when he had a breakdown, he was saying like, "Oh, I'm always getting blamed for stuff because I'm black." He was like, "Oh, I hate being black," and like really, really, really had a meltdown.
Mhm.
And so when he was telling me about it, I just was listening at him and asking probing questions and things like that. And I said, "Well, why do you feel like you hate being, black?" And he revealed to me, he's actually mixed. One of his parents is white, and one of his parents obviously is black. And so he began to tell me like the history behind his cultural race identity. And he began to share with me about how, when he was growing up, about how, he was treated by the white side of the family, and how like he went through things with the black side of the family. And he was like, he was just stuck in the middle. And then
Mhm.
as he began to get older, when he started to be able to work, he was telling me about he was like discriminated against. He felt like, he had always had to walk on eggshells. And this boy had all this bottled up to the point where it started to affect his mental health. So when
Mhm.
he was telling me about when he was confronted by his supervisor, he said it just took him back to his past, and he just had a breakdown and a meltdown. And so I was able to really, really, I had like an hour and a half conversation with him, and really giving him not just resources, but
Mhm.
really walking him through, and trying to help him how to take care of himself in those situations. Because he said, I can't get out of my mind. I just feel like he's super paranoid that, he has to perform at his best and be his best because of the trauma that he endured from his past being
Mhm.
a black man, you know.
Yeah. A lot of times we don't even know, the reason we feel like that too. And that's a scary thing. That
Yeah,
was scary for me. Not being in control of the way I feel. And I'm an emotional person anyway, but you
yeah,
know, that was scary for me.
yeah,
So my anxiety be above, be through the roof. But that's why, again, I'm thankful. I'm thankful I got music. I can go in there and make music whenever I want, whenever I'm feeling down, to bring out an emotion or
right.
take me back to a good feeling or a good place. I have music. You could put a song on or something and just get away for that 5 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever it is. So
Yeah,
music is, that's why musical therapy. And I think I'm gonna name my album Musical Therapy because it's been very therapeutic for me throughout my life, not just, go battling mental health.
yeah,
And, it could be helpful for everybody else.
yeah. And
It's
it's
universal.
different things for different people. I classify, things that's therapeutic as a resource. When you say resource, we automatically go to mental health providers.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
in actuality, things that, because when you go there, they're providing something for you, or you're going there to get in a different space to get help. And to me, I look at the same thing when it comes to journaling, or mute, or like you listen to music, or some people do exercise, some people meditate, whatever that thing may be. It's their mental health therapy or resource that's going to help them and pull them out of that dark space, or the
Yeah.
space that's caused them not to feel so well, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I like how you put that. I like
Yeah,
how you put that.
yeah, it's important, man. It's really important because it's like Taylor, because it's different things for different people,
Yeah.
and um, I'm really glad that you're in a place where what works best for you, because unfortunately a lot of people don't know, and so when you do go to places, whether it's to a therapist or to a service provider, you can advocate and let them know what works best for you. Like
Yeah,
this music works best for me. You know,
yeah,
some people like dancing. Some people dance and it just they may not work for you, but you know what works best for you. And I think that's the importance. That's important. Actually, when I was doing my research for this interview and stuff like that, you touched on a lot of different things that I was reading up on and stuff like that. And acceptance was a huge part of it. It was
yeah,
like a huge part of it, because when you accept that you have a mental health diagnosis or illness, should I say, then you know that you need help, and you know that when this thing happen or something come up, then you know that okay, I can run and get the help that I need instead of not accepting. Because a lot of time when you don't accept it, or for people loved ones don't accept it, unfortunately it just builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up, and it's detrimental to that person's quality of life in the end,
yeah.
because they didn't themselves didn't accept it, or their loved ones didn't accept it. You know,
Yeah,
that's
we only make
important.
it harder on ourselves when we don't accept it. Once we accept it, then we can start to heal, and begin to fix ourselves and begin to build our own little program to be able to stabilize to make our mental health stable. In any
Yeah.
situation. Like I said, you could be in a social setting and you might have that anxiety, but if you can just learn to calm down and cope, you can make it out of there, without having a crisis or being manic or something, you're getting into a situation where you have to end up hospitalized or
Yeah,
so
I know for myself, I used to catch really, really bad anxiety when I would have to get up and speak in front of people. This is a true story. A lot of people didn't know. Like I'm telling you, there were times I would be at work and have to do a presentation, and I would just have this bad anxiety. Like I'm fighting this anxiety on the inside.
yeah,
And as time went on, what I and this is true. So what I did was I would like the night before I would have to present, I would do a lot of self-talk. I would just acting like I got an audience out there and just kind of practice and stuff. But I mean, I no longer deal with that now, but I knew what I had to do in order to overcome that. My heart would start beating fast. I'll
yeah,
start breathing heavy, and I'm like, okay, Jay, calm down. Okay, you got this. You went over this last night or whatever, until I had to get myself to a point and realize, okay, this is what I need to do. This works best for me to
yeah.
get me over this anxiety whenever I had to do a presentation.
There you go.
You know.
There you go. Yeah. If I'm on stage, I'm good. I'm most comfortable on stage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or playing sports.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk a little bit about mental health in children or children mental health, because a lot of times you get children who may have ADHD, just other things that go on, anxiety, hypertension, or whatever. And a lot of times, if you don't have the family structure or the family that is educated, that right there can spiral out of control as that loved one get older. That's actually what happened in my family with several people, to be honest with you.
Mm.
I shared before about me having a cousin who, I mean, it was so obvious that this girl needed help. Like if you saw her, you can, and it's not me judging her, but
Yeah.
like you can tell, okay, she need to get some help.
Yeah.
My auntie didn't do it. Nobody did it. And this girl grew up making a lot of poor choices throughout her life because she didn't get the treatment or the assistance that she needed.
Yeah.
She ended up having two kids, and her last child she gave birth, and the doctor had told her to she got the hospital, whatever, and the doctor told her, like, you need to come back here, because we need to, pretty much take care of you. She did not go back. And later on, she ended up passing away, dying from lupus. But that led her mental health being untreated, led to her physical health being untreated, because had my auntie would have took her to the doctor or got, a psychiatrist or therapist and really dealt with that instead of worrying about you know, what the family gonna say, or what my friends gonna think. She was so focused on the stigma that she dropped the ball with her daughter, and it laid all it cost her life at a very
Sad.
young age, very very young
That's sad.
age.
That's
Yeah,
sad. Sorry to hear that. That's tough.
yeah,
That's a
and
tough one.
it is, man. And sometimes I think about that. Sometimes, like if I'm going through old pictures, I have to think about her, like, man, like you know, if she really would have got the help that she need, she would. I really believe this with all my heart that she would still be here. I got my younger brother. You know, well, I should say that's not the youngest brother. One of my brother clearly, clearly, you know, have a just temper tantrum, just I mean, just his behavior. But my mom never went and got help. One of my sisters, she didn't ever get help, and now they are full grown adults, and you could see it playing out in their life today. You
I was
know,
about to ask, why you think it's like that? Back in the day, because we were struggling with mental health back in the day, but you rarely hear about it.
right? Well, I think especially in the African American community, you know, we are taught to be strong. We are taught to be overcomers. We are taught to, you know, just display strength in every area of our life. If you broke, if you got money, you know, if you fall and hurt yourself, get up. Let me put some alcohol on there. You okay? And you know, and I feel like that has worked against us. You
What,
know, back in the day.
what about social? You think social media? I believe social media has a lot to do with mental health now because we didn't have it back then. So
Right.
all the cyberbullying and all the
Right.
things, you can start an argument argument right there with your fingers now, and it still had those same emotions as if somebody was physically in front of your face. I
Yeah.
think that plays a big part now, the way the
Yeah.
society is right now.
Yeah, I think that we are definitely in a much better space in terms of getting the word out about mental health because you're right. Social media is definitely a vehicle to provide education, support. I mean, think how many people are telling their stories on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. A lot of people are, you know, they're bold enough now to come out the shadows and tell a story because they understand that it will help other people, you
Yeah,
know, and people are no longer, well, a lot of people are no longer caring about what somebody think and say about them in terms of their mental health because the truth of the matter is it makes people feel good by just getting it out there,
yeah.
you know, even if you reach one person, two people, the fact that you've got that out there and you get a like or you get a DM saying, you know, your story blessed me. You know, I was going through the same thing. That's what's going to bring about change when people talk and tell us stories instead of thinking about, oh, what is this person going to think about me?
Yeah.
Who cares? You know?
Platforms like this, we need this. We need platforms like this.
Yeah, yeah,
It's very, very important. I appreciate you.
yeah, for sure, for sure. um why do you think it's important that the people who have not came out the shadows and know that they need some assistance, why is it important that they come out the shadows in regards to mental health?
So if not educate, somebody else struggling with the same thing that they're going through, maybe educate a family or
Mhm.
friend to be able to help somebody in the future or help somebody, recognize signs before somebody take their own life or before somebody has to be admitted to the hospital before it goes to where we can't control it.
Right, right. And that's important, and that kind of goes on to what we was talking about before, the question I posed to you, but it's definitely important. You know, they got like what you call, I think they got in Sacramento County and Placer County, and I'm sure maybe in other counties they got like, and I'm sure you probably heard this, the Speakers Bureau. You know, um, they so the Speakers Bureau it allowed people to share their stories,
Okay.
you know, to share their journey, you know. And so for those people who do share their stories, I think they've had like, you know, things that go on in their past mentally, but now they're in a good space and now they're in a good space enough where they can speak on it, you know. And
Yeah.
so I think we need more platforms like that where
So
people could speak on their situation.
so just like empowering testimonies.
Yeah.
Okay.
pretty much. That's super important. So important.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Um,
So, man,
how
what
do
do you think
you go
about
ahead? I'm
mental health
sorry.
wise in Sacramento and versus Chicago
Huh?
right now? How do you think? What do you think? How do you think about the mental health community in Sacramento versus Chicago now?
I
In
think
Chicago,
that to be honest with you, I think that there's a lot of untreated mental health um illness in Chicago. And I think it's everywhere. I mean, because think about it, anytime you get a community of people who are just killing it, just out of control, that's not normal, in my opinion, normal behavior. You know, something is there. Something is there that's causing people not to act in a productive way where you want to take somebody's life. I really, really believe that, you know. Um, being in Chicago, I wasn't really educated or had the experience with mental health the way that I do now. Um, being in Sacramento, but in Chicago, it was zero. It was literally, you know, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I thought like everybody else. I thought like, oh, this person's crazy. My brother's crazy, or
yeah,
you know, I really thought that, but that came from a lack of education, a lack of knowledge,
yeah,
a lack of experience,
yeah,
opposed to what I know now. You know,
yeah,
and I feel like too, even with law enforcement, I feel like you know, the reason why we probably see or have seen a lot of issues or tragedies with law enforcement is because there was a lack of education, there's a lack of training, and
yeah. I
so
was about to say that. A
they
lack of awareness. It's funny how
Mhm.
I could think back now and be like, man, they really needed mental health. They needed mental health services, or this person needed mental health services. And nobody was helping them. And then think now, like, it's crazy how time changed and how we evolve, and just how we things become more important to us that just wasn't back in the day, but
right,
still struggling with these same things and how we cope with them and how we educated ourselves. And it's weird how life throws us curveballs like that. The way
yeah,
we evolve and things like that.
yeah, and I think now law enforcement definitely have came a long way because I know that when I know there's times I've watched um people, you know, who I believed who had a mental illness, and the law enforcement, well, officer would treat them as if they don't, you know, and I've watched a parent say, "Oh, you know, my son is this, my son is that," trying to communicate with a police officer that her son had mental illness, but they were unable to hear the mom because they were so focused on the behavior,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. And
And
go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, I was gonna say, and I feel like we're starting to come a long way, but I definitely think there definitely need to be more training and education around mental health with anybody who's gonna be dealing with the community, firefighters, police officers, anybody,
Yeah,
people that drive ambulance, like they need to be educated and have some type of training because you're gonna run into people in a community who have mental illness, and you got to know how to deal with people
yeah.
when they are in crisis.
I mean, especially seeing a lot of traumatic events and just a lot of negative and hostility every day,
Yeah.
consistent like that. It gotta play a part into on your mental health as well. So what do you feel about police officers that may be struggling with mental health and what I mean can't recognize any signs or what I mean don't know what they're struggling with. That's dangerous.
Yes, that's actually very dangerous. I know one of the things that in order to become any well, in order to get any position that, well, let me retract that because that's not, I don't know that to be factual. From my understanding, I've had friends who actually applied for police officer jobs, sheriff jobs, and one of the requirement was that they cannot have a mental illness because it, I guess, to law enforcement, for those who are hiring, I guess they think that it clouds their decision or judgment, things like that. So I know back then that was one of the requirements was you cannot have mental illness. But for police officers who are experiencing mental illness, I think that they do have like therapists set up on staff and things like that for them to talk to. And you got to think about that. Think about you out in a community, especially if you're working area where there's a lot of crime and drug infestation, murder, people getting shot. When you drive and go into this area, it's going to, play on your mental health.
Yeah,
It may cause some type of anxiety, it may cause stress, it may cause paranoia
yeah,
because of what you know what you're walking into,
yeah, yeah,
and so hopefully for those people who work in law enforcement, I do have uncles and things like that, but who retired,
yeah,
the county sheriff, but hopefully for those who do go in these situations that they are talking to somebody,
yeah,
uh, weekly or monthly, as well as they need to talk to a therapist, because that's important. You can't go in these communities um, as a law police officer and then making decisions. Oh, paranoid, you scared, and because your experience last night was horrible. You got to be able to make sound judgment, because if not, you mess around and make the wrong move.
yeah. You're right. You said two of the smartest things, man. Speaking about it and education,
Yeah,
educating ourselves and speaking about it. Those are the two most important things I believe. You know, if we're gonna be silent about it, we can't expect no results.
right,
You know,
right, right.
platforms are very important, man.
Right. We got too many resources out here. You talked about I know Cal Voice, I know that agency very well. Obviously, they got a lot of different programs where people can get help, and some form of mental health assistance. You got Sierra Vista Hospital,
Yeah,
you got Hope Cooperative. I mean, it's just a lot of resources, TLCS, a lot of resources out here where you can get help. You got 211. That's a resource. You can call
yeah,
them and get any mental health resource that's available. They will
yeah,
plug you. But we have to, as a community, we have to come together and educate and be able to make ourselves available when that time comes, because it will come.
yeah,
It's gonna come. People.
yeah,
I mean, I got in my even my work bag now. I got flyers and business cards of people that work in different agencies for mental health. So I
there you
think
go.
it's important.
That's
Yeah,
what's up, man. That's
yeah.
what's up. So you're doing your part.
I mean, I'm trying, because what I do,
Yeah,
Ramon, is I always try to bring that outside of my 9 to 5. I always try to bring that to my friends, my family,
yeah,
all that. Because mental health. If you have a mental illness, if you're not well, um, that affects so many other areas of your life, relationships, your health.
yeah,
Like you're not going to be the best version of yourself. So one of the things I do love is you got people who have a mental diagnosis, who have like really good jobs, taking care of themselves, they taking care of their family, friends, and they're able to be a support to other people who may be struggling in another certain area mentally. So I love it.
yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
I
Yeah,
absolutely love it. So
definitely, definitely. Yeah,
what do you think that, well, let me say this. Where do you think the mental health community is heading now? And when I mean mental health community, I mean for those providers. Where do you think we're heading now with the services that we're providing? You think it's getting worse? You think it's being stable? Like, do you think we need to? Well, earlier you said things need to change, but where do you think we're headed in the direction we're headed in now?
believe it or not, I think within the next 3 years, we're gonna have a outbreak or a flood of support because
Hmm.
of how many um role models, athletes, entertainers, how
Yes.
many people, that's actually is a is a positive influence. And I think people are going to start owning it more in entertainment business. I think they're going to come together. I think, and they're going to start owning it more because it's too many people struggling with it, and
Yeah.
not too much being said about it. And all of the celebrities having it, I think they're going to try to make it like a common kind of like a cool thing almost. It's okay to have mental illness, and I
Yeah.
think more people are going to start speaking on it. Kind of like,
Yeah.
are you familiar with Logic,
Who?
the rapper Logic?
I'm not familiar with him.
Yeah, something like he's raising awareness with mental health now, going through what he was going through, being a father and a husband now. And Doja Cat too. She's gonna be speaking out and trying to raise more awareness for mental health now as she's going through it and learning, herself now, going through some things. So
Yeah.
I think within the next 3 years, I think we're gonna hear more about it. But it's gonna be coming from like the entertainment. It's not gonna be coming from the community. I don't think. I think it's gonna be cool from the entertainment industry.
I definitely agree with you on that because people like Kanye and the people you just named, Logic and Doja Cat, a lot of these people are in spaces where they're exposed to the public on a way higher level. And it's
Exactly.
just like kind of all eyes are just on them everywhere all the time. And
Yeah.
so that in itself brings stress. You have
Yeah.
no privacy. You're scared to say the wrong thing. You're scared to do the wrong thing because you're thrust into this lifestyle based off the decisions you made
Yeah.
to become whatever type of entertainer you're becoming. And
It,
so with that, there's a lot of pressure. I can't
yeah.
even imagine. I can't even imagine the pressure that some of these people are under.
Yeah.
Anything or anybody that's associated with you, your auntie, uncle, brother, friend, anytime they do something wrong, it's gonna be, oh, Doja Cat brother, he was caught robbing a store. She ain't got nothing to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So now you got to assume the responsibility in a roundabout way for everybody around you when it's really not your fault.
Yeah.
It's really not your fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
what any last minute comments before
Um,
we end?
man, unity,
Okay.
unity, man, unity. You see somebody down, just a simple hello or a simple, just a simple hello can change somebody's day and may, save somebody's life. A lot of people don't. Just a simple hello. You see somebody down. Don't just, don't all be so quick to judge. Man,
Yeah.
let's pick each other up and we're all struggling. We're all going through, our own personal things. No problem is greater or better or worse or less than any other problem when it's affecting somebody emotionally the same way. We need
Yeah.
to remember that.
Okay. All right. That's it for this edition of Mental Health Matters. If you like this particular show, if you would like to be a guest on our show, or if you would like a DVD copy of our show, please dial 916-366-4600. Thank you.